Yo! You guys, let's talk about Bucephalandra, otherwise known as Bucephalandra in America. For the sake of this video, I'm going to call it Bucephalandra because that's how most people call it. But yes, we are getting the pronunciation wrong, and am I a stickler for that? No, it's just one of them that I happen to know. Whatevs. I just think it's kind of funny. But we'll call it Bucephalandra for the rest of this and make sure that we know what's going on. Alright, I'm sure you aquarium fans out there have seen the ultra rare, super rare plant Bucephalandra. This happens to be one of the brown varietals that I actually happen to have right here in my hand. And you can see this one's fairly sizable. You know, one of the reasons that they're rare, right? They really aren't that rare now. You can actually get your hands on them pretty readily. But let's talk about personal experience with them a little bit. One of the reasons that they are more expensive, maybe not that rare, but they're more expensive because they are slow to grow. They just basically are a really slow growing plant. Very similar to our friend here, the Nana Petite Anubias. They're very similar in care. So if you can take care of Anubias, you can take care of Bucephalandra. But today I want to give you guys just a little rundown how I've got mine growing right here. Now, a lot of people would say you can't stick it in the substrate, you just can't do that. Well, I've got 4 right here, 1 right behind it, and more on the other side of this tank that are all planted into the substrate. And when I say planted with air quotes around it, I actually mean they actually are planted in there. A lot of time, often, you'll see that people say, you know, you have to glue it to something, you have to stick it to something, but I'm here to say that you don't have to. But what you do have to do is be mindful of not planting the rhizome. So this piece down here is the rhizome, just about the same as the rhizome on this Anubias right here, right? You can't stuff that under the substrate and really have any expectation of it doing well. But, so this piece of Bucephalandra I've had growing in my sump. So it's actually just been free floating around in my sump in order to get some better rooting on it. And you can also see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little sprouts coming off of it. It's nice and sprouting and sending out some new shoots, which means I'll be able to divide this and use it for something, you know, more technical or whatever. I mean, just basically all I'm gonna do is just put them in a fancier spot. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna make them look. I'm gonna make them look fancier, you guys. There's nothing different about my plants than your guys' plants. I just have a tendency of putting them in fancy spots, right? But you can plant all this little root here. So all this little root right down here, that could all go right into your substrate and make sure that this is above. Personally, in my experience, and let's avoid yelling at me in the comments, I'm speaking from my experience, I have a lot more success with planting the roots into the substrate and going from there. All of these are all flowering right now, doing very well, dividing, sending out new runners, sending out new shoots, and growing new leaves on a regular basis, which is what we want. I want to propagate this plant. I want more of it so I can spread it around and do cooler things with it, and that's the whole reason for even, really, I guess, growing them in the first place is to, you know, if we get more of them, then we can enjoy more beautiful plants, right? So, that's really the goal with this, and I'd like to dispel that you can't plant them in the substrate. You certainly can, you just have to be mindful of how you're going to put them in there. Now this piece right here is a different type. This one's like the green, oh, whatever street name for it is. As you guys know, I can never remember the street names. And this is like the brown version. It comes in a lot of different types and stuff. One thing I would recommend if you are going to get into the Bucephalandras, make sure that you do make sure that they are coming from a good source, because currently right now there is a lot of people poaching this plant from areas that it shouldn't be harvested from. So I would be mindful to make sure that you're getting it from a good, honest seller, and that they are sourcing it from somewhere that is a legitimate farm application or something like that. Because as I said, there are a lot of areas that are ending up with this plant supposed to be there and it ain't. So I would look into that. But if you do want to plant this in your substrate, like I said, you can totally do it. I've had these in here for over 2 months now. I haven't experienced any rot. There really are no problems with them. As I said, they're flowering again. They don't flower. The flower doesn't hold up very well once it's, you know, fully underwater like this. You sort of have like maybe a 5-hour window or something like that, that like this flower right here is going to open up. Like once it opens up, you can get a shot, and then they start to deteriorate super fast. So if you're looking to get yours to flower, I would just warn you that you might get let down by the fact that you might miss the photo opportunity. So don't stress out about that. It will flower again probably, you know, 4 weeks later, somewhere in that range. But yeah, when I glued these in place, I found that they get stagnant. They will basically just maintain and not do very much growing. Since basically what I did is I had these glued in place for like 3 months or something like that and didn't see a ton of growth. There just wasn't really anything happening. So I was like, hell, you know what? I'm going to take them off. I'm going to try them a different way. So I went ahead and put them in here because I figured the worst thing that could happen was they just continue to not grow, right? So what I did was I took them off and planted them in the substrate, and then I've just been evaluating over time whether or not this is something I wanted to pass on to you guys, if it would work or not. Turns out it works quite well, except for the one that I planted too deeply. That one started to rot, and I ended up having to move it. It's on the other side of the tank now. It didn't actually die all the way. It just kind of rotted down and had some problems for a little while, but it has nursed back and doing quite well. So I honestly think you can put these in the substrate, mainly because I tested it to see if it would actually work, and works pretty well. And hopefully this is a tip that can help you guys out. Maybe dispel some of the issues with this plant, like, you know, why is it so expensive? Why is it so hard to get? And things, you know, hopefully I answered some of the questions or whatever. If you do have questions, go ahead and stick them down in the comments down below, and I'll either I can respond to you on the live streams, which I normally do, which honestly, I'll be out of town when you guys are seeing this video. I'll be in Germany at the big Interzoo fish tankery convention. But if you leave some comments down below, I'll either answer them on the live stream, reply to you in the comments, or even make another video in relation to answering your questions. So hopefully it's dispelled some stuff and everybody's having a good time out there. Summer is coming, which is awesome. I'm getting super zazzed. The travel schedule is beginning, and I'll talk to you guys later. Later? Is this Java Fern the button? How'd you get here?